Hey everybody, welcome back to another Recon. This time we're back in Watopia and it's the Eastern 8 course, 54.1 kilometers, 413 meters of elevation. There's a whopping 5 segments on this course, one of which is the 7.1 kilometer segment in the Fuego flats. This is going to be an epic, so let's get straight on with this week's Recon. All right, don't forget, this is the Recon for the A and B riders on the Eastern 8 circuit. If you're after the Recon for Downtown Titans, there's a link in the description below, and also I'll try put a card up in one of these corners here. All right, this is the final Recon of round 1 of this current season. Round 2 is going to be kicking off on November 7th, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribed for more Recons and information as we get closer to round 2. All right, before we get on with the Recon, I want to tell you about some exciting things coming up. We've got the Train with the Pros series, including James Barnes. He should be James Bond though. Kristen Kulczynski, Liz Van Houwen, Jay Broon, and Michael Gamst also guiding us through some of their favourite or not so favourite training sessions, the sessions that help them get to the top of the Zwifting game and the rankings there. So if you want to join these pros for the training sessions, you can watch live here. Better still, you can ride along in game as well. Then like, subscribe, stay in touch with us. We've got updates coming soon, and those will be kicking off towards the end of October 2022. We're approaching 4,000 subscribers. I think we're about 200 short. So if you're not already, head down, smash that like button, and give the channel a subscribe. It really helps the channel out an absolute ton, and I much appreciate that, guys, so thank you very much. All right, so let's take a look at this course in a bit more detail. It's the Eastern 8 course, 54.1 kilometers, 413 meters of elevation. We're going to be taking on the Titans Grove KQOM in both directions. There's 5 segments in total here. We've got 2 sprints, 2 climbs, and then we've got this super long segment in the middle of Fuego flats, which is 7.1. And we're going to talk a little bit more about specifically that segment a little bit later in the video, and maybe some of the tactics I would consider on that particular segment. All right, so in terms of bike choice, aero all the way, no doubt about it. Go for the most aero setup you can on this course. It's reasonably flat apart from those 2 sessions that we've got going through Titans Grove, and even then, as we know, Titans is pretty rolling up and down. So go for the most aero bike you can. As always, there is a link down in the description below to the Zwift Insider pages where you can find the most aero bike available at your level. All right, so what is it about this Fuego Flats long segment? Let's take a look in a bit more detail. It's just over 7 kilometers long. It is pan flat. So I think this is what we're going to call a race to the back. What I mean by that, my plan on this particular segment is to make sure I'm at the back of the group or the peloton that I'm in as we approach the start of this particular segment. Then my focus is hanging with that front group as long as possible, surfing the wheels, conserving energy until we get into the final couple 100 meters of this segment, and then make sure I'm at the front or as close to the front as that final sprint starts to happen on this particular segment. It is flat through this segment, so I don't see groups of riders breaking away too much here early on through this segment. But bear in mind, towards the end of the segment, you may get a few early flyers in that final kilometre. So stay switched on, follow those wheels as you get closer to the end. All right, the other thing to think about this particular segment is the long segment is 7 kilometres long. If you didn't make the front group as you went over Titans Grove and you're in group 2 or group 3, there are still opportunities to pick up points on this long segment. If you are in a big enough group and you can keep the pace high and keep that group motivated through the whole 7 kilometers, there is still opportunities for chasing groups to pick up the fastest through segment here on the Fuego Flats segment. All right, just before we get on course, thank you as always for watching and subscribing. If you just bear with me for 30 seconds while I tell you about the clothing brand that we recently launched, Level Velo. If you're after some indoor cycling specific clothing, jerseys, shorts, etc., then go and check out levelvelo.cc. The other cool thing that Level Velo and myself are doing is putting together team kits. So if you want a kit designed and manufactured for your Zwifting or in real life team, then reach out to myself and the team at Level Velo and we can make that happen. All right, enough speculating of what's going to happen in these segments. Let's get on the road, let's get on course and take a look in a bit more detail. Don't forget, down below in the description, you can also find a link to the Recon Notes for this course and the other courses that we've covered in these Recons throughout the last couple of years. So again, just follow that link and you'll find a detailed Recon Notes covering the distances and segment markers of the courses that we've covered. Now, we're going to leave the pens in the desert, we're going to take a left and we're going to head straight out into the Fuego flats. Pretty early on in this course, we're going to get to the first sprint segment, the Fuego Flat Sprint. This is going to start at kilometer 1.7. It's pan flat and it's 500 meters long. This is where the fastest through segment, I think, is going to be picked up on this course. We are going to go through this segment twice, once here and then once right at the end when we come across that finish line. So here it is again, this sprint segment, and again, there are first across the line and the fastest through points available on this sprint segment. 500 meters, pan flat, it finishes just under the rock arch here. All right, so once we finish the Fuego Flats sprint, you've then got approximately 8 kilometers of flat roads through the desert to recover, recoup, and save those beans ready for that Titans Grove forward segment. So at roughly kilometer 9.9, we're going to start to climb up slightly towards Titans Grove. All right, so Titans Grove, you're going to start to get into the Grove at kilometer 9.9. You've got about 1,500 meters before you hit the segment proper. That's going to start at kilometer 12.5. This segment, 2.6 kilometers long, 2.6% average gradient on this particular segment. It does pitch up in places. It is pretty rolling. We should all know it pretty well now. This is the forward segment of this particular KQOM. There is first across the line and the fastest through available points here on this segment. Now let's just watch this through right to the end. All right, so you're going to finish this segment at kilometer 15.2. Don't forget, all these distance markers are available in those Recon Notes. We're then going to descend the other side of Titans Grove until kilometer 19.6, where we're going to take a left-hand turn and head towards those ocean tunnels and this transition section. All right, so as I said, we've got this little transition section here where we go through the ocean tunnels, a little bit of desert, and then we are going to take this little cut-through road, which just takes us a little bit of a peek up towards the bottoms of Titans Grove, and then we're going to head straight back to the Fuego Flats and towards that long segment of 7.1. All right, so once we drop down onto the Fuego Flats, it's time to start thinking about the super long 7.1 kilometers segment. This is going to start at kilometer 26.7. So if you're thinking about dropping to the back, this is the point to do it. So as I said, this segment starts at 26.7, ends at 33.8, 7.1 kilometers long, pan flat, first across the line, and the fastest through segment points available on here, and opportunities for all the groups on the road to think about picking up points as long as you're pushing on and getting those fastest times. All right, once that long segment's done, you've got a couple of kilometers here just to get out of the desert, past the pens that we started, and then we're going to take that left-hand turn and start the Titans Grove reverse. All right, so kilometer 36.7, we take this left-hand turn, we head into Titans Grove, which we've ridden many times before, remembering that these opening sections of Titans Grove are rolling constantly up and down. I do expect the group size to be reduced down here, so there are opportunities for riders to push on because the draft effect in that group will not be as strong. All right, so just to reiterate here, first across the line and the fastest through segments on this Titans Grove reverse, 900 meters, 6.6% average gradient, before we start to descend down the other side and thinking about those finishing Ks in the Fuego Flats. So we're going to descend off Titans Grove again, just stay switched on through these rollers as up and down, make sure you're putting on the pressure when it kicks up again to keep that pace high. We're then going to head back towards the desert and head back towards that finish line. We're going to take the right hand turn, head towards the desert again, past those pens, and then it's thinking about the final kilometers and how you're going to tackle this final sprint segment, which is also going to act as the finish line. All right, so we're entering the desert here at 51.6 and you're into the final 4 kilometers of the race. We've got one sprint segment, which is also going to act as the finish line. So there's finish line points, first across the line, and the fastest through segment points if they haven't been taken on that opening lap. So this finishing segment is going to start at 53.6. It's then a 500-meter gallop towards the finish line. It's flat, it's going to be fast. Keep your eyes open for those solo riders trying to break early, because I do expect to have some tired legs at this stage. Remember, the finish line comes under this rock arch here where you can see the derelict buildings on top. So stay switched on and utilize those power-ups well. So that's it, that's the course. Thank you for liking and subscribing and following these recons through round 1 of the Zwift Racing League. We'll be back, as I said, for round 2 in early November. Don't forget, you can find the Recon Notes. If you want a Recon ride, then of course you've got the Team Italy rides, which take place over the weekend. If you wanted something a little bit more sedate and gentle as a recovery ride, then I would also recommend the RaveCon. Sunday evening, 5 p.m. They often have a pro or celebrity rider there to give you some additional insights and tips as well. Have a great week's training. Enjoy the rest of the season. Ride on.